I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller. I wish I had a...
Hi gorgeous, welcome to another episode of High Vibe Honey. Now we have been on a little bit of a hiatus lately. There has been so much going on, and I also really felt like it wasn't necessarily my place to be talking out about things and speaking about what I've seen. I really wanted to feel that I was well informed on what was going on before I spoke too much about anything. And so the subject of this week's High Vibe Honey is about being the change. And as I've been watching what's been going on in America over the last month or so, I guess it's been about a month, it's been really clear to me that we have the power to change whatever we want to. And I talk about this a lot on a personal level. I talk about the fact that you can be and do and have whatever you want, that you can manifest your own reality, that you can change things by being active, by changing your thoughts, by being a different person, by raising your standards, all of those things. But what I really want to talk about today is the idea that this also applies to our society. This also applies to our collective. And one of the things that has become really apparent to me in the last few weeks is that America for a long time has felt like it's kind of asleep at the wheel, where we have been in this period of acting like we don't run the country and the government controls everything that we do and we just have to do what we're told. But the truth is that the government works for us. So this is my Aquarius rising jumping out. The government works for us, and they will change things if we put enough pressure on them, if we come together enough, if we have a common goal, if we set a group intention, and if we put our energy towards something. So I really want to just drive this point home to you today, which is that change is possible, and we've already seen that. We've had now, I think, 2, maybe 3 weeks of protests across the states, and they're extremely powerful. They're very moving. If you haven't been to a protest yet, and if you're like, I don't even know what this is all about, if you're nervous about it, if you're unsure, if you haven't made up your mind yet on what's going on, I really encourage you to go out to a protest and just feel the energy. I think you'll be amazed by how good it feels to be in that group of people. Everybody is really looking after one another, and we're there for the same reason, and it's a beautiful feeling, especially after months of lockdown where we haven't seen anyone, to now come together for a really important cause as opposed to just, I don't know, going to a bar to get wasted, feels really amazing, and something is definitely happening. And we've seen from the last few weeks of protests that when we do this, when we do protest, when we do make our voices heard, things start to change really quickly. And there's a huge list of things that have changed across the states in the past few weeks that would never have changed otherwise if we had not put our attention and our intention on them. So I want to remind you this week that you have the power to affect huge change in both your life and the lives of everybody else. And we talk a lot about manifestation here, and my belief is that if you really are stepping into a space of believing that you can be and do and have anything that you want, you also need to believe that that is possible for everybody else too. And you need to be able to look around at the people in your community or your country who either look like you or don't look like you, who you identify with or don't identify with, and give them the grace that they can be and do and have anything that they want as well. And if there are any systems in place that you can see make it harder for them to have these experiences, makes it harder for them to manifest what they want, makes it harder for them to feel good as they move around in the world, then that's our problem too, that we need to dismantle that. And I believe that a system that is not good for everyone is not good for anyone. And we need to work on that. And it's our job to do so. That's what we're here on this planet to do. If your job is to feel good, then it's also your job to make sure that everyone around you has the opportunity to feel good too, and not be persecuted because of what they look like, where they come from, or systemic racism that goes on in this country. So that's really what I wanted to say. I think it's so important that we are active in this fight. If it matters to you, and I really hope that it does, then I really want to make sure that you're doing your part to make sure that these systems are dismantled. So that could mean that you donate money. It could mean that you talk to your racist ass family about things. It could mean that you have uncomfortable conversations with your friends where you hold their feet to the fire about their fucked up beliefs. It could be that you watch documentaries or listen to podcasts. It could be that you start hiring Black people and paying Black people and working with Black people in your business. It could be that you start making an effort to shop at Black-owned businesses. There are so many things that we can do, and we all have our own lane in this time. We all have our own part to play. Some people are going to organize, some people are going to protest, some people are going to make art, some people are going to write policy. We all have a different thing that we do, but whatever it is that's your lane, I want you to be in that lane and be fucking committed to it. This is not a trendy thing that we do for 3 days and then we're like, whatever, back to posting selfies. Like, yeah, you're going to go back to your normal quote unquote life in some way, but we can't take our eyes off the fact that this is still a problem. Just because some things have changed and we have seen some, rebuilding, and we have seen some empathy and some compassion, the war is not fucking over. It has just begun. So a couple of days ago, I was driving with my friend down a highway. We were coming back from, in fact, helping Madeline move into her beautiful new place. And we were talking about insurance companies. And he was telling me that he used to work at an insurance company, and the man that wrote the policies in the insurance company was a fucking monster. And he would say things like, well, it's actually cheaper for us to have 100 people die than for us to pay out policies on 100 cars or something like that. And I was like, oh my God. And he was like, yeah, the whole system is so rotten. And I said, my hope is that this first domino of Black Lives Matter being brought to everybody's attention, being the thing that we focus on, I really hope that it's the tip of the iceberg, because the way that we treat people in this world is not fucking good enough. The fact that we treat people like numbers and that we value profits over people is disgusting and needs to change. And so my hope is that as we make these changes, we start to look at everything else as well. Everything else that is not just or fair or is fucked up. And we start to make these changes. And I really feel like this is happening. I think you only have to look at the news to see that things are really shifting. The conversations are really starting to change. And I think that we can do this with literally everything else in our lives. And that's really important. Like, a few years ago, I must have been in my late teens, I read this book by an artist and illustrator called Seth Tabachman, who was a cartoonist, illustrator from the Lower East Side of New York City. And he put out this book that was called You Don't Have to Fuck People Over to Survive. And it's an amazing book. And I remember reading this, and it really just activated my Aquarius rising part of me, where I believe that as a collective, it's our responsibility to take care of everybody, and that's our fucking job. And if you bypass that or pretend it's not your job, or you pretend like it doesn't matter, you will be fucking punished by the universe. That's truly what I believe. So this book is really good, and I think we really have to look at the way that we treat society and ourselves. And I also think that, radical self-love ties into this so perfectly. If you want to value other people and make sure they're taken care of, you also have to value yourself. And it starts with believing that you're worthy of your desires, and it starts with believing that you're worthy of respect, and you start to treat yourself that way. And then you start to treat the people around you that way. You start to think like, okay, I'm not gonna use this person to get this thing out of them because I know that's not actually the right thing to do. And once we start making those shifts personally, and then extending that to our friends and family, and then to the people that we work with, and then over and over and over, and the bigger it gets, then everything starts to change. But it starts with us. We're the people that have to do the work. We don't have a choice. It's part of your fucking job as a human on this planet. It's part of the price of admission. So let's stop fucking around. So let's do some tapping on being the change, and understanding that it's our reason for being is to change things. It's not to stay stagnant. It's not to uphold the status quo. Fuck the status quo. The status quo in pretty much every area of our lives is a fucking disaster area, and it's time that we change it. So let's do some tapping. Wash your hands, drink some water. We're gonna get started on the top of the head. This has been a crazy year. So many things have gone wrong. So many things have been unanticipated. This year has been full of surprises. But even throughout all these changes, I know that I have a part to play. I know that it's part of my job as a human on this planet to help alleviate or eradicate suffering. Not just for myself, but for everyone around me. the people I know and the people I don't know, the people I've met and those I will never meet. It's a price of admission for being on the planet. So I have experienced a lot of change in my life. And most of it was stuff that I made happen. I am completely different today from the person I was last year, or 5 years ago, or 10 years ago. And I have all these great skills and tools for changing things, for manifesting things, and for creating real transformation. So if I know that they work for me on a personal level, why would they not work for the collective? Why would they not work for society? How can I start to use these tools to help everyone else? There are so many things that I can do. I can tap to find clarity, to release my old prejudices and biases, and to feel calm in the face of massive change. I can visualize a more just society for everyone. I can make vision boards of what it will look like. I can get my friends together and we can do this work as a group. There are so many ways that I can contribute to the world, both physically and metaphysically. And I am deciding right now and right here that that is important to me. That I want to do what is right for everyone. Because life isn't just about me. It's about everybody else too. And I know that when I make other people's joy a part of my life, everybody wins. And I am doing this work not because I want a pat on the back, but because I know it is truly right. I want to be on the right side of history. When I have read about extreme human rights abuses of history, I have always thought, how could this happen? But the answer is that it happens because people look the other way. And I will not look the other way. I will use all my courage and all my bravery to look the monster in the face and deal with it. I will not run scared. I will not make it about me. I will do what I need to do to dismantle oppression. And that sounds like a really big statement. Like it's something that just one person cannot achieve on their own. But I am so much more powerful than I know. It's like throwing a stone into a lake. It seems tiny, but the ripple effect affects everything else. So today I am committed to doing the fucking work. Not just today, but every day in the future. And so it is. Okay, take a deep breath in, hold it at the top, and let it go. I have to say, I've been posting about Black Lives Matter on my Instagram and about white supremacy and police brutality, and I've been really stunned at the number of people I've been losing every week. My the numbers of people that are unfollowing me are about equal with the number of people that are following me, which literally never happens. And that tells me that there are a lot of people, especially in the spirituality community, who just want to bypass this, who are like, this is not my problem, love and light, we're all one human family, blah, blah, blah. And that's not realistic. And I think one of the great things about tapping as a modality is we look at the pain, we acknowledge the pain in order to move through it, in order to transmute it, in order to change things and create a new reality. But that's where tapping is so powerful. It's not about pretending it's not there. It's not about closing your eyes. It's about acknowledging what's going on, removing the emotional thorn, and then doing the fucking work. And so I've lost a lot of people, but I'm happy to lose people that aren't willing to do the work. And the people who have remained, you are the strongest, most powerful, creative, compassionate, empathetic people. And that's who I want to be surrounded with. And I've seen so many of you doing beautiful work, volunteering, donating, spreading information, spreading resources. And that's what we have to do. And if you believe that you can have the life you want, you have to believe that everybody else can too. And that starts with us looking at where things are not fair and not just, and doing our part and taking massive action. So that's what I wanted to say. So your homework this week is to leave me a comment telling me what you're doing activism-wise. Are you having conversations? Are you watching documentaries? Are you marching in the streets? What are you doing? Are you stopping spending money with people who give huge donations to Trump every year? Like, what are you doing? I want to hear about it. And that's it. I mean, this is big work, right? And I know it can seem really exhausting. It can be really tiring to think about this every day. But here's the plot twist. Black people have to think about racism every fucking day. You wonder why they're fucking tired? Oh my God. So we're only just starting to look at it now. It's going to take some time for us to wrap our heads around it, and that's okay. I think the most important thing is that we are in the moment, we're being humble, we're being teachable, we're listening and we're learning, and we're not centering ourselves and making it about like, oh, I'm trying so hard. Like, nobody wants to fucking hear it. Just do the work. So do the work, and also make sure you're taking care of yourself. You want to be rested and replenished and to be in your full joy, because we need you with your full energy to show up for this movement. It's really important. It's maybe like the most important thing you'll do, actually. So 2020 has turned out to be amazing and crazy, and like, we all knew it was going to be a big year, right? And then we were like, oh, we're stuck in our fucking houses. Like, this is the big thing. Like, no, civil rights is the big thing. And I really want you to be a part of it. And I know that you'll look back on yourself and be proud. And I want you to do something that you'd be proud to tell your kids about, that you'd be proud to have written about you in the history books. This is the time we get to put our money where our mouth is. So anyway, enough rambling. I hope you enjoyed my TED Talk. I love you, and I'll see you next week.